What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here with your second stimulus check update, and we have a lot of big news from the White House and from Congress. I'm going to give you all the details on this and how it relates to your second stimulus check in this video. But first, if you haven't yet, click the subscribe button down below. It's completely free to do so. This way you won't miss out on second stimulus check update, unemployment extension update, and related news. My wife and I do all the research for you so you don't have to, and I bring it to you in a quick, concise video. And don't forget to smash the like button for us down below. It really helps out our channel. Okay, first up, we had really big news from President Donald Trump that I covered in my last video. The thumbnail looks like this. And he had a very big announcement. I actually showed 4 different clips of what he said in this announcement. But he basically said that there's $300 billion left from unused stimulus relief money for the pandemic, and that he wants to use that for a direct stimulus check to be sent out directly to Americans. The amount of money, $300 billion, is interesting because that's just enough money to be able to send out another round of stimulus checks to everybody who qualified the first time, and probably money for dependents too. So it's very interesting that he mentions the exact number that they need to send out stimulus. Now, the president stated very adamantly that he wants it to go out as just a stimulus check and not all sorts of other things tied to the bill, that he wants to get just a stimulus check out to Americans as fast as possible. And he doesn't want, the Democrats, he's a Republican obviously, to tie it up with all sorts of other things to delay the bill, that he wants to get a stimulus check out sent as fast as possible. And the president also said that if Congress can't come to an agreement, that he is going to possibly be doing an executive order, a presidential executive order, to use this money for stimulus checks. Now, remember, this money is already allocated for virus relief fund for this pandemic. So it is very interesting that he mentions this. I have mentioned this on my channel before. They've already allocated this money for the pandemic for relief funds. So stimulus checks in regards to this pandemic is exactly what he could use this money for. He says he wants it to be passed by Congress so that it's agreed on by both sides, but I have a feeling the closer we get to the election, the more likely and the more antsy he's going to grow to just pass it by a presidential executive order. And the Treasury said that they can send the stimulus checks out very quickly this time around because they did it already earlier this year and they know exactly what to do. And it could take only days to get it sent out this time around. So he could pass a presidential executive order if Congress doesn't agree. By the time the Democrats' heads are spinning trying to figure out what to do, they'll probably already have the money being sent out within a few days. I also don't think the Democrats will challenge it, just like they didn't challenge the previous presidential executive order on the unemployment money, because it would really make the Democrats look like the bad guys if it's preventing, for example, the first one, if it prevented millions of Americans from getting financial relief due to this pandemic and being unemployed. The Democrats just didn't want to do that. And I really think that they're not going to want to, tie this up in court either for stimulus checks, either if the president passes them through a presidential executive order, because why would they want to do that right before an election? Basically, the Democrats would be saying, hey, we don't want the American people to get stimulus checks. Who would want to do that? So if the president does do that and he takes this money that's earmarked already for virus relief bill or the pandemic relief money and just says, hey, we're going to use it to send out stimulus checks, I think that could be very likely in the near future. We also have a big agreement between Nancy Pelosi and Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin, the main negotiator for the Republicans, in regards to money for a second shutdown, or at least temporarily. In a 36-minute phone call between Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin and Nancy Pelosi, the two agreed to maintain current funding levels to avert a shutdown. Their informal agreement, known as a Clean Continuing Resolution, will provide funding through September 30th for federal programs and vital services, and signals their willingness to separate government funding from the stimulus relief negotiations. This may be good news for Americans anxiously awaiting a second stimulus check. Prior to the continuing resolution bill, there were concerns that the contentious back and forth over a second stimulus package would be used as leverage, Nancy Pelosi's famous words, when it comes to a government funding discussions, leading to even greater delays in finaling a second stimulus package or second stimulus plan. Now, this clean continuing resolution is a verbal agreement between Nancy Pelosi and Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin to prevent a government shutdown, but that's likely to be only temporary, and they're going to have to pass an actual bill in the next month or two to fund the government for the rest of the year. They have to do this annually, and it's actually kind of a shame that they have to do this every single year to fund the government. I mean, at least make it every 2 years. I mean, do we need to go through this every single year where we could be having a government shutdown? If you remember from the previous government shutdown several years ago, it put hundreds of thousands of people out of work, and everything on the government except for essential services basically shut down. And it kind of felt like our first version of quarantine, where a lot of things were just shut down and not even open, and a lot of the government branches were just completely closed. So hopefully we can avoid that this time around, and they can come to a more permanent solution to pass that for the end of the year. There was a lot of talk if this would hold up a second stimulus check, or if they would try to bundle in a second stimulus check with the money for the federal government to run the country for the year. And we haven't seen either one of those yet. It looks like they're going to probably just pass a clean continuing resolution, which basically means, hey, we're just going to provide temporary funding for the next month or two, and basically just keep the country running as is based off the old negotiation, just an extension of that. And we'll figure out the details here in another month or two. But then we have the election coming around in less than 60 days. And the problem is people get reelected, senators, House of Representatives, the president either gets reelected or somebody new comes in, and then they have to switch office in the next coming months as the new people come in. So that would provide a very not best solution, not best timing to be able to pass more bills as there's new Democrats coming in, there's new Republicans coming in, some people are going out. Do they vote on it before they're going out? So, and then the problem is like if Republicans know that they're gaining more seats, or Democrats know they're gaining more seats, they might put a delay on everything because of that. So at least they have pushed this out of the way for the government shutdown money, at least verbally for the time being. But there is still an opportunity for them to bundle in stimulus in various different ways when they actually pass an actual bill to fund the government for the rest of the year. And again, I want to wish you guys a happy Labor Day weekend. Experts do want to say to make sure you social distance and wear your mask this weekend. You might be going to parties, you might be going to the beach, you might be going to populated areas. And just remember that we do still have a pandemic going around, and experts are saying that this could lead to a big surge in cases, so just be careful. Labor Day this weekend is among one of the first challenges of the fall for Americans. Epidemiologists are concerned it might set the stage for another surge in cases, similar to the jump in the U.S. following the Memorial Day and 4th of July holidays. The nation is heading into the holiday weekend with roughly 40,000 new virus cases per day, twice the number of daily cases from last spring, and with more businesses, events, and activities reopened than before. We don't want to see a repeat of the surges that we have seen following other holiday weekends. White House virus advisor Dr. Anthony Fauci told CNN on Thursday, "We don't want to see a surge under any circumstances, but particularly as we go on the other side of Labor Day and enter into fall." Dr. Fossey added that states such as Montana, the Dakotas, Michigan, and Minnesota have recently reported a worrying rise in the percent of tests coming back positive among people ages 19 to 25, and that the peak amount of cases after the July 4th weekend rose to up to 70,000 new cases per day. So make sure you guys stay safe and enjoy yourself and just enjoy the good old American spirit. And click on this bottom video to watch that recent announcement by President Donald Trump, his actual speech in that video. It's very good. The top video is my newest stimulus check video. And this video teaches you how to start a business selling products on Amazon FBA. I have students that have replaced their entire 9-to-5 income, and I teach them how to do that. Click on one of those to watch them next. Thanks, and I will see you in the next video.